This is the tutorial on how to use MTurk for your studies that you guys are going to be running. If you guys have any questions, you can just email me, but this should show you all the different things. So right here you have the main page when you log into MTurk, and I'm sure Deirdre will show you how to do this and get you all set up with an account. If you guys don't, it's just run through your Amazon accounts. So here are your options. You have create, manage, developer, and help. The main ones you're going to use are create and manage. So if I were to go to manage, I would see all of my batches I have here. I only did one survey, so here you can see 100% of my surveys were completed, how long it took in elapsed time, the complete 400 out of 400 surveys, and the date I did it on. So for you guys, we're going to focus on create right now. So if you go here, you see I have two. I have thesis and survey link, but they're basically the same thing. So we'll just start it as a new project. So if you go to new project, you have all these options here. So the first thing you have is your survey link. So here's an example survey. Here's the survey code, all these different kinds of things. So if we want to go to create project, we go to create project. So the first thing you have to do is put your project name in. So the basic ones are going to be survey link. For you guys, I would just name it thesis or whatever you want. For me, I already have a thesis, so we'll go thesis 2. Your title, so here it gives you what to put there. So describe the workers, be a specific. So surveys about movies. For you guys, whatever your topic is, just put that there. Here you put a description. It's a little more details about the task. This is what the workers are going to read to see if they can fit all the different things. And then your keywords. So then all the survey, the demographics about it, all like the buzzwords about whatever your survey is. The next thing you have to do is you're setting up your hit. Your hit is basically like the advertisement, right, and what they're going to get for it. So your first thing is reward per assignment. Me and Deirdre, we did 70 cents per assignment. It's all in US, so you guys just have to keep that in mind and do the conversion. The number of assignments per hit. So for us, we did 400. You guys can work out however you want. You just input it here. Time allotted per assignment. I left it at an hour. Like there's no way your surveys are going to take an hour, but it's always good to leave them a bunch of time to do it just in case something happens. And it's pretty standard to leave for about an hour. I also kept the 7-day expiration date. Now your surveys, I'm sure they won't be thousands of people, so it'll probably be really fast and you won't have to use the 7 days, but that's just what we kept it as. And then auto approve workers. So this is an important part. So you have an auto approve option. So every time a survey is completed, you can go and look at their answers. And so what I recommend is having a couple like trick questions to make sure they're paying attention into it. And if you find people, for example, rushed through the survey and didn't answer questions or anything like that, you can actually disqualify them from the data. And so if you leave this 3-day block, it gives you enough time to go in, look at everyone's survey and see if there's people who didn't do it and just eliminate them. And then instead of having to approve all the people who did well, it'll auto approve them within 3 days. So you don't want them to have to be masters to do your hits because that costs money, but we will add some different things in here. So add a criterion. You'll select, so you want to have hit approval rates for all requesters. So that means how many times they've been approved after they finish their test. So we'll go here. You want it to be greater than, and then I chose 95%. You can do anything but 95 was what was recommended to me. Then you want to add another criterion. You want to go location, and then you want to choose is not, and then you want to go to India because there's a lot of Indians who take this test and they don't speak English and it can mess up with your data. The last thing you want to do is number of hits approved, and you want it to be greater than. I chose 500. Again, you can choose whatever you want, but this just means they've been approved on 95 out of tests and they've taken at least 500 of these tests. So it's just good to make sure you're not having new people that don't know how it works and a bunch of different other problems. You don't worry unless you guys have one of this offensive content. And then you want to do hidden. So you want only workers that meet my hit qualification can see the number of hits. So you want to make sure that the people who don't meet this criteria don't see those hits. So you only want it to go to your audience. So you go, after this is all good, and then you want to go to design layout. So after design layout, you get here. So this is what it will look like when the person first looks on your screen. So you see the survey link instructions, they'll click to expand, and all these different options. So you have to go and you can modify this yourself. You can click and you go through. Now the main thing after you do all this and you modify everything is you have to go to source. So here on source you have a bunch of code which I know for some people isn't too much fun, but there's only one thing you really have to mess around with that deals with the code. So let me just find it here. So yeah, I'm just back again. Sorry, I had to cut it because I had a phone call. But yeah, so once you're on this source page, you scroll down and you see this part where it's indented. So you want to, where in between these bunny ears, you want to highlight here, and you want to input your survey link, which you'll get from your Qualtrics survey or whatever software you're using. And you want to do the exact same thing here from HTTP to the end of HTML and paste your survey link again here inside. And I'll give you an idea what it looks like on the survey I did so you can see it. But yeah, so you just want to make sure this is the only part you're doing within source. After you do that, you click source again to exit out. You can edit all this information here to however you want it, and then you can click preview. Sorry. And it'll give you a preview of what your hit will look like. So you click here to expand, and it'll have all the writing, your survey link, and this is where your MTurk participant will input the survey code that you'll provide them on Qualtrics. I will show you an example of that in a little bit. So if we go to mine, so I'll go to create, and then once I have my bachelor, I have my thesis here, I'll go to edit, and then I'll go to design layout, and if I click source, from the source I'll have all this HTML code. Look for the indented part right here, and then you can see inside the bunny ears I put my link here for one, and then over here I input my link again, and that's just to give you an idea what it looks like. If I exit out, I go to preview. This is a preview of what my survey would have looked like. So here's the survey link that they would have put, the area for them to input their code that I give them, and the survey link instructions. If you want to pause it here and look at what I wrote, you can, and this is just what was available to the MTurk participant. So if we switch over to Qualtrics, I can click on survey flow. So from survey flow, I have this, and would go to add a new element, and then you would want to add a web service, and then you add the URL for your web service and all these different things. Like I said, I'll add it, show it to you after. And so for example, so here's the one, you can actually copy exactly what I have. It's a random number generator. You want to have get, you want to have a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 9999999. And what this does is it'll assign, and you want to have MTurk code equals random, and it will assign an individual a number in this range randomly, and at the end of their survey they'll be presented this number, and that number is unique to them, so when they input it on their MTurk page it'll go with them. So you can attach any person's individual number to their survey, and that's useful when you see someone who didn't do the survey properly, or for a variety of reasons, if they did it too quick or whatever you're looking for, and you can remove them just by knowing what number they are tied to. So if I go to, just let me get out of here, and I go to library, and within my library I will have a messages library, and I will have end of survey. And yeah, so this is the code I tied to that. So this is, I can recommend using the same one just for simplicity. And so if you have this code here and you have that code in the survey flow area, then it'll be tied, and every survey will have this code will turn into a number for them. So it's really useful, like I said, just for tying individuals' surveys to their actual number, and then when you go to eliminate someone, you just look up their number and you're like, oh hey, this person did a 20-minute survey in 2 minutes, so now I'm going to look up their number and I'm going to take their data out without having to go through and eliminate questions or have to memorize people's names or anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the MTurk stuff. Again, I'll put a link for the number generator because it is the most complicated part out of this. And if you have any questions, you guys can email me and I'll be happy to help. And good luck with all your theses.